Australia, while often painted as a sunny paradise, has its share of shadows in its history and present. Here are 10 things that touch upon the darker aspects. The stolen generations. This refers to the forced removal of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children from their families by Australian government agencies and church missions between the late 1800s and the 1970s. The aim was assimilation, but the impact was devastating, causing immense trauma, loss of culture, and intergenerational pain that continues to this day. Colonial violence and massacres. The arrival of European settlers was marked by significant violence against Indigenous Australians. Massacres, frontier wars, and dispossession from their land resulted in a drastic decline in the Aboriginal population and the destruction of their way of life. While often downplayed, the scale and brutality of this violence are a dark chapter in Australian history. Convict-era brutality. Australia's origins as a penal colony meant harsh conditions and brutal treatment for convicts transported from Britain. Floggings, hard labor, and isolation were common, and while some convicts eventually found freedom, their initial experiences were often horrific. White Australia policy. This discriminatory immigration policy, in place from the early 20th century until the 1970s, restricted non-European immigration to Australia. It reflected a deeply ingrained racial prejudice and had a profound impact on the nation's demographics and social fabric. Treatment of refugees and asylum seekers. In more recent times, Australia's policies towards refugees and asylum seekers arriving by boat have drawn international criticism. Offshore detention centers, long processing times, and a general policy of deterrence have been condemned by human rights organizations. Environmental degradation. Despite its natural beauty, Australia faces significant environmental challenges. Extensive land clearing, introduced species, and the impacts of climate change, such as the devastating bushfires, highlight a darker side to the relationship between humans and the Australian landscape. Racism and discrimination. While multiculturalism is a part of modern Australia, racism and discrimination against Indigenous Australians and other minority groups persist in various forms, from subtle prejudice to overt acts. High rates of Indigenous incarceration. Indigenous Australians are significantly overrepresented in the prison system compared to non-Indigenous Australians. This reflects systemic issues, including the ongoing impacts of colonization, socioeconomic disadvantage, and discriminatory policing practices. Extinction of native species. Australia has one of the highest rates of mammal extinctions globally. Domestic violence. Like many countries, Australia grapples with the serious issue of domestic violence.